How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another FIFA 21 video. In today's episode, EA have just released the top 1,000 ratings in FIFA 21. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over just, a few of them. We're going to scroll through, check out all the ratings. I'll give my opinions on some of the bigger guys who got big downgrades or big upgrades. And I'll just quickly show you guys, what all the ratings are this year. If you guys want to check this out for yourself, you guys can head over to EA's website. It'll be posted right there. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So, obviously, our best player this year is going to be Messi at 93 rated. Pace decreased down to 85 with only 80 sprint speed, but still 91 acceleration. I'm sure he'll be a pretty decent card to use, but in the past, Messi obviously hasn't always been the best player to use. Then Ronaldo at 2 with 92 rating. Obviously 89 pace, 93 shooting is a really nice card to use in this game. And I'm sure, he'll be very, very meta this year as well. Lewandowski, he's one that's a little bit interesting as well because he's always a little bit slower. But this year with 78 pace, 91 shooting, I think he's going to be a little bit more usable. And then we're just going to go through. I don't want to explain every single player on this list. But I'll go over some of the key guys. Obviously, Bruyne and Neymar both going down a rating. I think that's due to EA trying to make it so some players have more room to upgrade this year. And I think that's why we're going to see quite a few players with a little bit lower of a rating. Mbappe got upgraded to a 90. Mane is a big one. He went from 88 to 90. I think that one's a fair one, honestly. Casemiro had a huge upgrade this year. He went to an 89 rated card. Unfortunately, he has 65 pace, which I don't know, depending on how the meta is this year, it could make or break this card. Otherwise, it's going to be very nice high rated fodder. Courtois is up to an 89, which I believe he was 88 last year. So interesting to see that he got an upgrade. Kimmich with a pretty big upgrade, and he's a CDM, so that's a really nice card. Kroos down to an 88. Kane down to an 88, and Hazard is the big one, obviously, going down from, I believe it was 90 or 91, down to an 88 this year. I think it was a much-deserved downgrade, honestly. From this list, Sterling looks really good again. Now he has above 80 shooting, which is really nice. Conte down to an 88. That one's a little bit interesting. Koulibaly also down to 88. I don't know about Koulibaly, but I think Conte kind of deserved to go down. Modric down to an 87. I don't know. I think that one's deserved as well. This one, I know a lot of people are a little upset about. Aubameyang getting downgraded after a season he's had. I don't really understand this one. I think Aubameyang should be higher. I think he should be 89 rated. I think he's one of the best strikers in the world right now, and he's playing really, really good. Bruno Fernandez, much deserved upgrade to an 87. This is going to be a fun card to use early on in the game. And other than that, I mean, this page is not too much different. Sancho, an 87. Deserved overall rating, but a big pace downgrade. So it's going to be interesting to see, with 83 pace, how Sancho will really play in game. And it's going to be interesting to see, why EA downgraded some of the pace the way they did. Son, a left mid to a 87 left mid now. Really good card. Hopefully doesn't get any early on informs, or we're going to be pretty much screwed in weekend league. Suarez, 87. Obviously, he's getting old, and he is on Atletico now, I believe, not Barcelona. And now a big one, Trent Alexander-Arnold, up to an 87 rated. I think that's way too high of an upgrade, especially for somebody who, he's still pretty young, and I think 85 would have been a fair upgrade, but 87 just seems a little ridiculous, honestly. The rest of these, they look pretty fair. Griezmann obviously was very quiet last season. Still a pretty fun card to use at striker, I'd say. I'm surprised he got a striker card, honestly. I thought he would have gotten another left wing card, maybe. But other than that, I mean, Griezmann does not look too bad. Moving on, Firmino up to an 87 rated card this year after being 86. I think it's fair. He didn't have the greatest season last year, and he did get the winter upgrade. We're going to have to scroll back through. But, I mean, Firmino should be a pretty solid guy to use. Again, he's very slow, in this meta that we had last year. Will he be useful this year? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Bernardo Silva and Andy Robertson next up on that list, and Fabinho. Fabinho, I didn't think should have went up from an 85 to an 87. He was very quiet at the end of the last season. I think maybe 86 would have been fair for him, honestly. Bernardo Silva had a very solid season. Andy Robertson, I think 86 would have been a fair rating for him. Again, the Liverpool guys seem to got a huge buff, which, I mean, as a Liverpool fan, it's nice to see, but at the same time, I think some of them were a little too much. Going down the list, we got Sergio Busquets down, Chiellini 87, Lloris down to 87. Then we get into the 86s, Jamie Vardy. That is going to be a fun card to use at the start of the game. An 86 rated Jamie Vardy with 88 pace and 85 shooting is going to be really nice. Pogba got a huge downgrade from 88 to 86. Piqué down to an 86. Henderson up to an 86. And again, like the other ones, it's a big upgrade. I mean, I think out of all the Liverpool players that got a huge upgrade, he probably deserved one more than, let's say, Trent or Fabinho. But I think an 85 would have been fair for him, not an 86. Carvalho an 86, that is going to be a big card to trade with because of how useful he is going to be with Semedo potentially leaving La Liga. He's really going to be one of the few good right backs in the game. Hummels 86, David Silva down to an 86, De Gea down to an 86. De Gea is kind of a big one because, you know, there's not many Spanish Premier League keepers in the game. So it's going to be interesting to see his price. Varane up to an 86. This will be a very high-priced meta card. Alba an 86, and then moving down. Gnabry is one that a lot of people were a little confused about because of that pace. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that. Thiago, a pretty decent downgrade. I believe it was 87 to an 85 this year. Obviously, going down to Liverpool, he's going to have some nice links. It might be nice in some early game teams, but again, 64 pace kind of kills off the card depending how the meta plays this year. Kai Havertz should be fun, a nice card to use in the Prem with potential to, you know, get it once to watch. That could get a lot of upgrades. Some other notable ones on this list, Depay up to an 85 should be a good one if you have one of those French league teams. 86 pace, 83 shooting. I mean, really good card for Depay right there. Ziyech, a very nice card as well. Will be fun to kind of build some of these new players into teams. Timo got an 85. A big downgrade for Royce, though. Royce goes from an 88 to an 85. His card still looks pretty decently usable at the start of the game, so I don't think, if anything, it'll be better because he'll be a lot lower of a price, and he'll be a fun card to probably still use in the early game stages. Other than that, nobody on this list really shocking. I mean, we have Thiago Silva down to an 85, which is deserved, honestly. Really low pace, probably will end up being good fodder halfway through the game. Ricardo Pereira should be a fun one. He'll be an expensive one, though, because obviously Trent is 87 rated, so he'll be expensive. 85 will probably be the next one up from there. So Pereira, expect him to be very high priced, but a very decent card. Not too sure how he's 85 rated. So next up, obviously, we have some of the new transfers. Pjanic out there to Barcelona, 85 rated. Not a great card. Rashford actually getting a left mid card this year. So we have a lot of left mid, left wingers in the Prem. I think that is going to be kind of big because it's going to lower the price of some of these, I think. But it's going to make right wingers very, very expensive because there's not too many right wing, right mid options compared to the left mid. But Sane has a nice card. Obviously, he was out for most of last season. But Rashford, a nice card. Mertens down to an 85, which is a little interesting to me. Leno up. Lenglet looks really good. De Jong, still a decent card. And I mean, just going through the list, nothing too crazy. Kyle Walker up to an 85. Again, like I said, him and Ricardo Pereira are going to be quite pricey at that right back spot. But there's a lot of options, so expect left backs to be just a little bit more expensive. Obviously, we have everybody's favorite here. 84 rated this year for, you know, Dortmund this year. Going to be a nice card to use. Potentially get some really nice upgrades as well. Jesus Navas actually got changed to a right back this year, which I think is pretty interesting, and it's probably better because it's another right back alternative now in that La Liga, especially with the potential of, you know, like I said, Nelson Semedo leaving. Other than that, nobody really too big on this side that should make any big price adjustments. Maybe Douglas Costa will be a, you know, someone that might be up a little more than usual because he's got that Brazilian Serie A links. Alaba will be a fun one to use. I think a lot of people will use him in Bundesliga squads. 84 rated center back this year, so He's going to be really in demand at the start, I believe, and he's got really, really good stats for center back. These are all very nice stats. Isco, obviously a downgrade, not too usable. I mean, nobody really is huge. Digne is one I want to talk about because Digne, he's the next guy down from, what's his name, Andy Robertson. So that's going to be one that, you know, he might be a little more expensive than a regular 84 would be because there's that huge gap between the best, you know, left back in the Prem and then him. So it's going to be interesting to see what his price opens up at, but I think he's going to be a lot more expensive than people are predicting. And I did skip over Ben Yedder. Ben Yedder is obviously Ben Yedder. Hopefully he's not too crazy this game. Next up, going into this 84 side, I mean, Jimenez, a decent striker. I mean, we're starting to get into those, what will be very good guys to use early on game. Goretzka's one that I really like because of all those 70 plus stats. Party, another decent one if you're building La Liga instead. Martial, this is one that I thought he should have got a little bit more of a boost. Only 84 rated this year, but this card looks really, really fun to use early on. You're going to see a lot of people building, you know, pacey sides, and this guy will be in it, especially because you can move him down into that, you know, center attacking mid role or use him up at striker. It'll be interesting to see what people do. Coleman's another one. He stayed the same, but early on, he's going to be a really nice card to use in game. And now the big one, Gareth Bale. Obviously, Bale, he's got a lower card this game, only 83 rated, but now he went back to Tottenham, so, you know, maybe he starts playing good, could get a few upgrades. A once-to-watch Bale is going to be nice to see, but at 83 rated, this is going to be a very nice Prem right wing to start off with. I think he's going to be a little bit more pricey from, you know, because of that Salah gap. The only other right winger is, I believe it's Mahrez, because Sterling went to the left side this year. So going to be interesting to see how these right winger prices open up at, especially because Bale won't be in the game at the start because his once to watch card will come in. So if you get this gold card for low, expect his price to go up because this card will be extinct at the start. Marcelo is always a solid left back too if you're building a La Liga side. Going through the rest here, no one that really interests me too much. Coutinho is one who got a big downgrade, 86 to 83, but he did move into a cam spot. You might see him a few times in the start at, like, you know, Bundesliga sides, but realistically, Coutinho is not a card that interests me at all. I'm not even sure what club he's at currently, either Barcelona or Bayern, but regardless, he's not a card that interests me too much. Lacazette is a card that I'm surprised he got a big downgrade the way he did. But at 83 rated, he might be a solid striker that people will use in their starter squads, especially with the French links. I would maybe take a look at Lacazette as a potential investment maybe at the start. Matip up to an 83, nobody really cares. Zaha moved from striker to left mid. So like I said, a lot of people moved to that left mid spot in the Prem this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how exactly these prices are going to react to, especially Zaha, who a lot of people love to use as their starting, their starter squad striker because, he's that main guy up top that people use. But now at left mid, he's not as useful. So it's going to be interesting to see, how that price opens up. He could be pretty low. Lucas Mora, another card that is very good at the start of the game. Thorgan Hazard, another one that should be solid if you're building one of those Bundesliga sides. So a few cards that might be a little OP here too. Diego Carlos, very solid at the start of FIFA. This card's going to be 77 pace, 82 defending, and 83 physical. If you have a La Liga side, this card is going to be used quite a bit. I think he's a really solid one to start off with. Then Van de Beek obviously went to Manchester United. A very good card if you're going to play a CDM kind of formation because Van de Beek has very good stats overall. Pace is 70, but honestly, I don't know how much pace is going to change it. And as a CDM, I don't think it'll really matter if he sits, in front of that back line. Should be a good card to look at. And then Acuna, no one's really going to run a Portuguese side, but obviously he's very good. Joe Gomez, I like this card a lot. This is going to be a very, very expensive card at the start of the game. 83 rated center back, 82 pace, 83 defending, 80 physical. Expect his price to be really high and expect him to really start to rise up in price as we head towards the actual release and the first week in league. And then I like all these guys really coming up here. These are very, very meta guys that they're going to rise up quite a bit in price. He's going to go up a lot. 83 left mid, very, cheap. He's going to be a mid cheap, 5 to 10k at the start of the game will be pretty good. Semedo, like I said, if he goes to Wolves, it's going to be huge for his price. He's going to be very, very expensive. Ferlan Mendy, obviously this guy was like 50k the entire year of FIFA 20. I expect pretty much similar, especially now that he's 83 rated instead of 80 rated. We'll see what his pack drop rate is, obviously. Next up, we have Wan-Bissaka, 83 rated right back. Gonna be really good. Obviously, very, very pricey as well. Next up, we have Gabriel Jesus, who's 83 rated striker. Again, this is another starter striker kind of guy. Same with Dembele. He's gonna be one that you're gonna see a lot in sides. And like I said, the French links are very, very nice. He's gonna be pretty good. But again, another right winger who went to left wing this year. So gonna see how those prices go. Hakimi is a right mid though this game, so that'll be someone you see, especially with that 94 pace. It's gonna be very, very fast, very sweaty if the game allows for that to happen. And then we start getting into the 82s. I'm not gonna go too deep into this list. I'll probably go like 100 more. But Ozil, a guy who got downgraded. Can't really see this card being worth much really at the start. Willian is a guy though that could be. 82 pace, 79 shooting. He's going to be a decent guy at the start of the game. I have a feeling a lot of people will be picking up that card. Scrolling through though, there's not really too many players that, catch my attention. Morata, not really. Maybe if you're doing a first, a starter squad La Liga, he's not a terrible choice with the 80-80. Harry Maguire, someone I would definitely stay away from with 50 pace. Pope's a really good goalkeeper, honestly. He might be a very strong keeper to do at the start of the game. Looking at the rest, though, there's not really too much that interests me along from this list. I mean, I'll scroll through, but the main thing you have to take away is look for guys who have, very solid pace, shooting, defending, whatever it may be at their positions. These 82, 83s are going to rise quite a bit from the start of the game because people are going to value them pretty low, and then they're going to rise up because they're decent. Like Pepe, for example, an 89 pace. That's a lot of pace for a winger, especially that we're seeing more of a pace stat decline this year for whatever reason it may be to allow more upgrades. So what you're going to want to do is obviously look through all these stats and stuff like I'm doing here. You can plan investments, do all that, but usually players, with certain stats that are very high, they'll be higher priced. Good leagues, good nations, the basic stuff like that. Trade with those cards, you're going to see good returns. I really like the right backs in the Prem and the left backs because there's not too many at those positions. You need good, wing backs and full backs or whatever. Center backs too, like a Joe Gomez, very good to the start of the game. And even, heading up top, look for those French links. French links are very, very strong. Prem French links are going to be very, very strong as well. So just look out for all of that. Other than that, these players, are going to be decent. It should be a fun, start of the game. Database is really nice to get. It's going to be interesting to see the squads you guys make. Let me know in the comments, who do you guys want in your starter squads? And if you guys enjoy this video, please drop a like on it. Make sure you guys subscribe. We have a new Trading School episode coming out tomorrow, so don't miss out on that. And until next time, peace.